Every one of us has within us a corrupt and malignant growth, a distended and malformed shadow that instills fear within a medical silence, the diminished return of our distressed system, a viral complexity that dictates our time of response and cleanses the space of our hatred. From this place of asymptomatic sickness, we try to amputate all humane values, to attack all suburban immunities, to purge the decaying matter of that once pure. That's from Blood Pressure, a medical casebook, or Malignancy is Cleansing by Genesis P. Orridge in the book Esoterra, the Journal of Extreme Culture, edited by Chad Hensley. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. I wanted to make a very quick video to illustrate a point that I previously have made many times over. When you look at what is happening with the protesters on Wall Street, particularly the very disturbing actions today, where the police penned up female members who are participating in the Occupy Wall Street protests in a movable barrier, I imagine, and then sprayed them with pepper spray. This is an overt act of police state action against people who are assembled to point out what is blatantly obvious and what is being proven by the police state actions of the authorities. When they attack with brutality peaceful protests that are in place in Wall Street, they are showing that this is the epicenter of what is wrong with our country today. By cracking down with such atrocious and fucking ridiculous activities as penning people off and macing them, particularly women in this case, they are only illustrating that they are doing the bidding of Wall Street, which is ultimately who they work for. If this was going on in Washington, D.C., it would be talked about in the news, and it would be promptly forgotten because it would have absolutely no effect. And the police would not be crushing them. They would not be coming down on them with the iron fist that they are in New York. Because ultimately, the people in Washington, D.C. are merely go-betweens between the finance capital of Wall Street and corporations and the final end product. They're bought and paid for minions. While these people who are occupying Wall Street are demonstrating that this is the place where the fucking scum is. This is the place where all of the evil breeds. This is the place where all the fraud has been enabled, has been brought forth, has been meticulously planned to rape and pillage this entire fucking country, the entire fucking economy. And they illustrate the fact that they are performing the duties of those very people who occupy those offices and boardrooms down there in Wall Street. The police illustrate it by acting in this insane and egregious manner. It should be an object lesson to everybody who has failed to grasp the idea that it is Wall Street, finance capital, and corporations, which has as its symbolic and literal heart Wall Street in New York. That they are the ones that call the shots. That is the center of power in this country. And by having protests there, it is shining a light on that fact that they do not want to have revealed. That is why you have this ridiculous action by the police. Now, I wanted to make another very quick comment about Darrell Issa, the asshole in Congress, who is trying to push forward with a destroy the Postal Service bill, which doesn't address any of the economic problems that have brought about some of the difficulties that the Postal Service is dealing with right now, but instead want to force people out of work. And somehow this is going to be good. This is going to solve everything. That's apparently the standard rhetoric for any GOP person now, is fire people, and somehow that will make the economy better and make everything run and work great. And of course, Darrell Issa, the asshole, maybe I'll just call him Darrell Asshole, is embroiled in an ethics inquiry right now over some of his activities. And of course, let us not forget that he and many others in Congress are now pointing to the fraudulent activity of Solyndra and the so-called clean energy loan program, and trying to, paint with a broad brush how terrible and egregious all of this is, while at the same time Darrell Asshole, through one of his companies, begged and pleaded for loans that are exactly like the ones that Solyndra got in order to make their own supposed clean energy. But of course, it doesn't apply to Darrell Asshole, and Darrell Asshole can buy as much Goldman Sachs stock as he wants and hire a Goldman Sachs lobbyist to work in his office and squelch any kind of investigation into the rampant and obvious fucking fraud and theft by Goldman Sachs. And that's not a problem. And it's not a problem for him to beg and plead for the same kind of loans that Solyndra got. I'm not here to defend Solyndra. What I'm here to do is to point out the rampant hypocrisy of Darrell Asshole. And I'd like to remind you all that if you would like a very sane and very simple solution to the Postal Service business, that is, ask your congressman to support H.R. 1351, which will correct the money problem with the Postal Service and allow them to adapt and change and give them access to funds that they overpaid. It's a simple solution. It doesn't require firing people and forcing people out of work. And it solves the problem. So just bear in mind that this is the same sort of thing that we see all the time. Rampant hypocrisy, and where you have the application of oppressive police state actions, it is because people are trying to shine a light on what needs to be uncovered. So, support H.R. 1351, which is a postal reform bill, which is very simple, takes care of the problem, and allows time for the Postal Service to restructure and move around. It doesn't require anybody break contracts. It doesn't require people are forced out of jobs that they have. It doesn't bring about a new bureaucracy, which Darrell Asshole would like to have. And of course, I thought this was anathema to the GOP. We want less government. We want less bureaucracy, but not, apparently, when it comes to deciding the future of the Postal Service. Let's create a whole new bureaucracy which will decide how to destroy and bust up the Postal Service. Yeah, that's their answer. And fire people, don't forget. That's number one on the hit parade when it comes to answers and solutions. Let's fire people. And if I haven't made it clear, I fully support the idea of what's going on Wall Street and the protesters that are occupying that area. And I can only hope that this increases and it shines more light there. And eventually, at some point, the media is going to have to say something about it. And that's, I guess, what we can hope for. So, thank you. Good night.